Welcome, everyone, to episode 278 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pentelresco. I write stuff on Podcast 2. Today, my guest is Bacioiu Ciprian. I hope I said that right. He refers to himself as Zapa, and that's how I'm going to refer to him for the rest of this interview. He is a video game programmer, developer, one of a kind of giant bearded games based out of Norway. We have a hell of a conversation here. I want to get right into it really quick because there's an awful lot to this episode, but I want to point out my giveaways, courtesy of Jennifer Ron and Indie Imprint, particularly this week, By Your Leave. I have a song for you guys to listen to before we get into the podcast. It's called Dream Stalker. It's a badass song. Hope you like it. Hope you enter the contest. I'm going to be announcing winners tomorrow after I get done my interview. A lot of cool things happened. I think I confirmed the audiobook for the Cloud Diver. I've been sending some manuscripts out to certain people, really cool people in lots of cool places to see what I can do. Enjoying the feedback I'm getting so far. I've heard, so far out of the 6 people I've sent it to, I've heard from 3 of them, and they've all given me really positive reviews so far. I'm hoping to hear more. But anyway, enough about me. Let's get to the music and then to the interview.
The landscape in my vein has of despair and screams of pain, shattered red and drowned of bone, as blood is red from every stone, broken corpses and set of flesh, shattered bones and organs flesh, nightmares from their depth of soul, falls to me a grim hell hole. Whoa, break it down, the torment from life, darkness inside, birth of pain and strife, devils consuming, a thumb hangs on high, devoured by sin, a cruel way to die. My mind clouds, the fog descends. Is this how it always ends? The signs are there, the lights will fade. Dream Stalker, worse than any blade. Put the burning of the sleeper's mind, body breaking soul in agony. Leaving shadow, death is drawing near. Doesn't face sweet life away. Break it down. The torment from life. Darkness inside. Birth of pain and strife. Devils consuming. The thumb hangs on high. Devoured by sin, a cruel way to die. My mind clouds, the fog descends. Is this how it always ends? The signs are there, the lights will fade. Dream Stalker, worse than any blade. Dream Stalker, Dream Stalker, Dream Stalker, Dream Stalker, Dream Stalker, Dream Stalker. My mind clouds, the fog descends. Is this how it always ends? The signs are there, the lights will fade. Dream Stalker, worse than any blade. My mind clouds, the fog descends. Is this how it always ends? The signs are there, the
Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint brings your creations to life. They believe in indies helping indies, and they have been known to contribute to everything from game jams to NaNoWriMo and everything in between. As a creator, you just bring your work to them, whether you're a writer, musician, or video game designer, or whatever the case may be, and they'll help you format, proof, and distribute your project to a variety of different avenues. For more information, check them out at info@indieimprint.com. And by Jennifer Ron, author. Jennifer is re-releasing her fantasy series Legend of Tenlock with her first book, Wicked Initiations, coming out when Words Collide. She's also been released a Dark Hoarder, courtesy of Bundarin Press. You can contact her at longevitithesis.ca. That is worldwideweb.longevitithesis.ca. The recorder's officially on, just so you know. Right? I hear nothing in the background. No crimes are being committed whatsoever right now.
Perfect timing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly when you were expecting something cool to happen to actually get this show on the road, like, no, dead silence.
Dead silence, and that's, you know what, that's not... Okay, did you just go away for a second there? Because your mic...
I didn't.
No. Okay, no, okay, I'm hearing my echo in your from your mic. Okay, that's cool, that's what I'm hearing. Gotcha. No big deal. Alright, let's officially begin. So, yesterday we were talking, before we got interrupted by the signal going to Mars, or wherever the heck it went, we were talking about the fact that, you know, you were doing seminars to talk about successes and how you weren't ready for it at a younger age. That's where I remember. That's where we left off. So now you're older / wiser, or at least, you know, you seem to be wiser anyway. Right? So are you more comfortable with success now that if it would happen again?
Oh, I certainly do have the experience of what exactly not to do, so I guess I have something working for me now that it wasn't before.
You just gonna be yourself?
Pretty much myself, and a bit more modest, I think. I think that's the key to it. Like, you're gonna have success and you can try and embrace it. You have no experience in embracing it and acting like you actually own it. It's just gonna cause a lot of problems. So at this point, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm fine with it. It's great.
So me, I think it's a weird thing, because for me to spread my podcast around, I have to be almost, I guess, like a pro wrestler. I have to not necessarily dress up in underwear and talk about coming to an arena at a certain time, a certain place, but I have to proclaim myself. It's a weird little balance. It's like, hey, I'm awesome. I have this great podcast. I have these great books that, you know, and I can do that. But when I'm not actually on, it's like I don't like talking about myself. It's like it's figuring out the balance of knowing when to and when not to, I think.
Well, if you're going to start every conversation, hey, I'm awesome, I have the podcast, I got the books, I got all of this going for me, at some point people are just going to be like, yeah, like, we didn't ask you for that, you know? And it's just going to kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely.
You're just going to be on the spot. You got to be on the spot. Like, here's one thing that I learned the past years. Like, you got to have answers prepared for anything, you know? Like, the snappy answers right there and then, like, hey, tell me something funny about you. Or, hey, what's awesome about you? My podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Or like what I do when I do the warm-ups, say something funny. By the way, I kept the recording of the last one just because I think I might end the podcast on that one, because that was pretty good. You were ready this time, man.
Well, I'm not sure I was ready, but I did fake it like I was ready, so hey.
You seemed like you knew what you were doing, which is, I think, a very important thing. So
you know what? Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, or something like that. Anyway, right? But okay, so you lost. Like, you went off the rails when you were successful. How did you find yourself again?
Well, it took me, I think, about a year and having to let go of the project.
What was the project, if you don't mind my asking?
It was a turn-based strategy game. Like, back in my youth, I played a lot of games, and one of the games that stuck with me was Advance Wars. It's a game by Nintendo. It came on the Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
And, in 2011, I got together with an artist, and we started working on a game that was inspired by it. And at that point in the market, there were literally no other games like that one available for mobile or PC or anything. And of course, like, a lot of the fans, like, flocked to our game.
Oh yeah, sounds like you picked a cool game to homage yourself after, or the homage is.
Yesterday we talked about like just doing the right thing,
Yeah.
and actually working on it, and it was because I was doing the job properly. Like I really wanted to make that game, and I wanted it to be good. I wasn't thinking of it like, because I'm pretty sure nowadays my perception of the work that I'm doing is slightly tainted by like I need it to be successful, or not successful but good enough for me to keep doing what I'm doing. Well, back then it was like I don't give a crap about the money. I just want to make this game because it's the game I wanted to play, and I really want to work on it.
That's a really hard. Like it seems like balance seems to be the theme of my conversations today. Like I did an interview this morning, and it's funny because there's something to be said about just going for it, balls to the wall. That there is something about that that's very strong. But on the same token, it's good to have like an expectation on yourself. Like I need this to be X amount of success for me to continue, right? And that's also really good because it pushes you to find solutions to make that happen. What's better? What do you find you work better at?
Well, it's part of the whole limitations breed creativity thing. Because it's the old, you get $1 million, what do you do with them? So at this point, like I get $1 million, like I'm probably gonna make my dream game. But at the same time, I want to make sure I got from the game. I'm gonna make enough money to cover all the expenses I wasted from the first $1 million.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, that seems like video games, like we were talking about yesterday a little bit, it is such a cool art form because there's like from a storytelling perspective, right? It can be incredibly basic or it can be incredibly intricate. And the thing about video games is there's a platform. The platform allows for so much elasticity. I like turn-based RPGs. One of my favorites is Persona. I love that series because it just has so much story depth, right? So I love that. But consequently, every once in a while I like a game like Double Dragon, like the old Nintendo Double Dragon. It's nothing fancy, but you get it. Guy rescues girl from brother. Very straightforward. And they both work.
Well, the thing is, I'm an extremely bad writer. I tried writing, and I published some stuff Medium. I tried going for a novel. It's, for me, my success, I guess I can probably call it success, is like, I just don't give that many details anymore to people in my game. I give them a setting, I give them a sandbox, some tools to play with, and what works for me in terms of telling a story to my players is not making a Mass Effect or David Gator Dragon Age-like game with massive stories. I'm just going to give them something basic, and the players get to fill in the gaps themselves, and they make their own story. And I think this is the strength of the games itself. It allows you to be creative enough in order to give people something to work with, and then they take your work and turn it into experience for themselves. So, like, the Double Dragon part, like, you remember the text on the NES game.
Oh, yeah.
You're beating Jimmy Lee, you're just going there, and then you just have fight after fight with no narration. But then, like, when you were little, you used to, like, gather your friends and you would talk about the experience, and everyone had, like, this incredibly complex story of what happened and how the fights happened.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't in the original game.
Well, no, but I mean, it's that's the cool thing, like about video games is there is always, even with the tools you provide, doesn't matter what the game is, right? There is a interactive, imaginative part of it because you're part of the experience. Your sandbox that you're creating is the recipe for whatever experience that may or may not happen. And some of those games, and you don't really need that much to create an amazing result. Like, one of my all-time favorite games is Punch-Out. I love the old Punch-Out game. It's very basic, but it is such a cool experience when you go through that gauntlet of big, giant monsters all the way to you fight Mike Tyson. Great game, but it's not necessarily the story, it's the experience and what you feel from those games that really make them.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Like, weird way of seeing it, like making a game. Let's say it's like writing a story. Okay, so you're writing the story. The experience the players get, it's them writing their fan fiction version of your story.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I think Doom's like the best example of that. Doom, because it was at one point one of the most shareable codes, so people would just mod arenas, mod guns, all that stuff. So they'd take the sandbox of Doom, and then they would make it their own, which I think was, at the time, revolutionary.
It was. There are still games made today based on the original Doom source code, and even AAA games are just using the original engine, heavily modified, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
still going strong.
Yeah, well, that's because, again, the one thing I will say about, I'm talking about a lot of the older games here, is they felt like complete experiences themselves. And I feel like a lot of the Steam games have that spirit of those older games. Like, you get in, you put in whatever money you're going to put in, $1, $2, $3, whatever, or more, depending on the game you're getting, right? And you play, you get, this old school experience, and some of those games are incredible. There's gems there, and I feel like a lot of the old games I used to play when I was a kid.
Oh, to be honest, at one point there didn't used to be a place for these kinds of games anymore. I'm talking about the early 2000s going up to 2010 and before this period.
Yes.
Where games just suddenly moved from the streamlined simplicity that we're used to. That was their secret. They were simple enough, yet they had enough fun in them. To a point where everything was controlled by the developer. You have to go there, you have to shoot that guy, but you gotta shoot him when I want to, else it's not gonna work and stuff like this. And games nowadays, they're coming back to the old style and old framework, because there's still a market for them, and people seem to appreciate them more this way.
Well, I just think it's because, again, it doesn't have the... I'm okay with, if it's a controlled environment, if there's a reason for it. But, yeah, I don't want my whole experience to be automated. I want to actually have fun. I want to explore. I want to, I want to be able to do stuff. Some of my favorite games are, I remember, one of the old Grand Theft Auto games. I never actually played the actual single-player game. I just did stuff in that game. Because you could have so much fun just doing stuff. Or maybe something like Skyrim today. Skyrim's just got so much things you can do that you're never bored, right? If you want to play the main game, you can play the main game. If you want to do some side quests, just do side quests. Have fun. Whatever you want to do, it's your experience.
And if you don't like the original experience, you can always mod it and turn it into exactly something else.
Exactly, and that's, we're living in that era of creating your own experience. I've said this in other interviews. We live in a really interesting time in the sense that no matter what our format, what our entertainment is, what our technology today is, almost making it possible that we can create our own realities in so many ways. Sometimes to our detriment. If you look at the Facebook algorithms and how they work, echo chambers are not cool. But the idea that I can make something my way, do it my way, how I want it done, is actually really, we have that ability today, and I think it's probably one of the coolest things about this time in history. It's just whether it's games, whether it's any medium, you have the possibility to create really truly unique experiences
and tailor those experiences. Have you ever, from your books, have you ever at any point written one of them thinking I'm just gonna write this for the fans and not for me?
Yes and no. Okay, so my current book, the one I'm about to release, is actually a homage to video games a little bit. It's called The Cloud Diver. It's The Matrix meets Indiana Jones. So that's what it is. Right?
That's a great elevator pitch.
That is a great one, isn't it?
Oh my god.
But what it is the cloud today is going to be our archaeology tomorrow. Now, here's the interesting thing about what we have today. We have archaeology physically, but we also have digital archaeology, and it never goes away, right? So eventually, we'll get in the far future, there's these more sophisticated, if not artificially intelligent, semi-artificially intelligent systems. So the cloud's a relic, but there's all this history and this knowledge. So I throw in all kinds of little Easter eggs. For example, in my story, there's no the old school, no 13 floors and elevators. It doesn't exist. 13 shows up in all kinds of strange ways, but never in elevators, right? I have the economy code in the game, in the story. It's literally in there as an Easter egg. I have Alice in Wonderland references. I have Batman references. I have Final Fantasy VII references in this story. So I do Easter eggs so that people that pick them up and did the same things I like when I was a kid, they're like, oh man, this is like, it's a little bit of nostalgia. But it's also like something, it's also a story I wanted to tell. I don't know if there's actually like I don't truly feel there's a truly selfless story. You as a creator have to get something out of it. Even if it's an open source, open-ended concept. Like, Choose Your Own Adventure is the closest thing like an author does to what you do, right? And even then, I'm creating different possibilities just based upon the fact that, and their limitations, right? I can't create that same experience you do. Like, you're working on a Space Mercs game, and you're working on ships and designs and all that stuff. And I've watched your tweets about testing, but you're testing it all yourself to think about what's possible. You have the ability to watch a player take your concepts and mod them to some ways you never thought possible, which I think is video games' greatest advantage. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. On the bright side, at least for you guys writing your stuff and writing your novels, you're giving off a more controlled product, to be honest. And that's amazing because it allows you to, and I'm paraphrasing right now, but I think it allows you to give a more polished experience.
Mm-hmm.
In my games cases, usually it's like this is the best that I can do, and I hope the things that I did not account for that the player is going to do is going to end up being fun for him. You know?
Yeah, well, there's hope on our end too, and that's the fact that like any experience I create, like, or anything I'm hoping you feel, right? I'm hoping that what I felt, you felt, right? Or if you don't feel it, that you feel something, right? That's my sincerest hope. Sometimes I screw up because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm open about not knowing what I'm doing. I feel like that gives me a pass, and when it's like I don't know, and every time I create something new, it's like what am I doing? What am I getting into? And I get the feeling we have that in common.
Yeah, like I can really relate to that.
It's like, not that there's anything wrong.
I was joking earlier today with my girlfriend, and I was like, hey honey, even if the game fails miserably enough, like I guess thanks to it, like even though it took me like 13 years, I could actually apply for a job as a programmer for once, because I feel so confident after it. And she just looked at me and like, are you kidding me? Like, you've been incredible simulations and stuff like this for all these years. Like, you're suffering from the imposter syndrome at this point.
Well, yeah, but also at this point, I mean, in all fairness, man, with all the work you've done I think a programmer would be beneath you, to be very honest. You've solved so many problems on your own. Like, it's incredible. The thing that really amazes me is all the skills I've learned doing things on my own. When I go to any kind of job to apply my skills, it's so easy for me because I'm not thinking like I like a lot of other because I've gone down my own path and faced my own adversities. I come at whatever problems that do exist from some of these companies from a completely fresh perspective. I think that's anybody that's an entrepreneur, that anyone that's had to solve problems on their own for long enough. You just no longer. The problems that hindered these companies. They're not your problems. Like, you've solved them in some form or fashion a long time ago. It's just
you already had the experience with them. Like, I get that every single time I gotta get a job.
Yeah.
Months to week with some company, and they're looking at this thing like some complex solution, and they need a meeting, and they need 2 people to handle that, and they need to schedule something, and I'm just sitting there like, man, fuck me, I think I'm stupid because I would do it this way and it would take me like 5 minutes. Sure. That's because I already did it like 10 times already.
Yeah. I'm playing solitaire. Why? Because this is what you're paying me to do. This is why I'm here. Right. I'm playing solitaire. Right. You won't let me twirl my thumbs or take anything else out. So I'm just gonna play solitaire until you need me. Until you need me. And they're like, do you want to think about this? It's like, no, you didn't pay me enough to think about your problem. I'm here to solve it. I'm just, you wanted to figure out the solution. I'll let you do it. I'm paid either way. I'm an asshole. It's just like
There was a few weeks ago. There was this post on Reddit that went extremely viral. It was about a guy that was working in automation,
Okay.
and he got initially a paid internship there. And he told the story of one of his coworkers because he was working at a huge company, like thousands of people, and they were paying the internship. So him and a buddy of his, they went there. They got a task to do, and his buddy like completed the task extremely fast, like in one work day or something. He emailed that he finished it, and he was waiting for more tasks to come. And like nothing happened for the entire internship. Like for 3 months, they forgot to give him another task. He pinged them once. And at the end of the internship, they had a meeting with the CEO and the CTO and the big people there, and they were supposed to talk the projects they completed, why did they learn, and why they will be good for the company. So this guy that literally did nothing for almost 3 months had a presentation called "How much money the company wasted on me to browse Reddit and play solitaire."
Yes. I believe it. No, because it's something like, yeah, because you figured out how to solve the problem. You solved the problem. It's like, well, what else do you want? We'll get back to you. Okay.
I'm fine. I'm just gonna be here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be here because you're paying for my time, and days go by, weeks go by, and you're like, I think they forgot me. Should I remind them? It's not my job.
Definitely, like you get to do it once, but you're not there to manage them.
Yo, exactly.
All the tasks that are being thrown at you.
No, it's not your like. I learned this a long time ago when I worked warehousing back when I was in younger days. Even though I'm working warehousing now as my day job. Right this minute, when in my younger days I realized like if I care, they love it when I care because they're not paying me to care. Then I came to it, and so yeah, right. So I learned. So this is what I learned. If you want me to think about the solution to your problem, you're going to pay me at least 3 times what you paid me to work here without thinking. If you want me to care, 6 times.
I can see you driving a hard bargain at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's just I've learned my worth, right? It's like you want me to waste my time solving your problems. And I don't if I don't care, cool. This is what I'll do it for if I don't care. But I'll think about it for this much, because that's what I'll think about it for. And then if you want me to care about this, you got to pay me this much, because, hey, I admit it, I'm a whore, but I'm an expensive one, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
Hey, listen here, boss man. Like in the contract, there's no clause for caring. We can add that one in, but you gotta up my pay, man.
Pretty much. I've actually one of my bosses, not any of the ones that are currently there now. The one that was there before, it's like they actually go, "Do you care?" It's like, no, I really don't. You work good for not caring. It's like anyone can do a task. I mean, it's either that or just completely waste my time here, and I hate wasting my time. But I'll be honest with you, this place could be on fire when I left, and I wouldn't even hesitate. I just would leave. I wouldn't worry about it till tomorrow. If the place is still here, I'll work, and if it's not, I'll grab a drink and call the unemployment office. I really don't care.
No, that's an important skill to have. Like in my case, like I like to say that I don't care, but it's at this point, like after so many thousands, millions of lines of code written and projects worked on, like I gotta care about what I'm doing, else it's gonna be boring. And if it's boring, it's really not going to motivate me outside of I got to do this because I want the next paycheck because I love my life at this point.
No.
I'm not going to be so involved into it. I'm going to do the bare minimum needed. I'm going to fly under the radar, not over it to get attention or way too much under it so that I'll crash.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'll just go home and be like, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to get back to work. Like, man.
No, I'm more so. For me, it's like this. I realize there's a concept I heard a long time ago, and that is your work is your worship. And the idea isn't that you don't necessarily worship what you're doing, your task, but how you approach a job and how you work on doing a job is indicative of your whole lifestyle. if you have the ability to go do a task and just get a task done, whatever the task is, doesn't have to be the best or the worst. And it always doesn't matter what the task is in front of you. If you have the ability just to do it, to get it done, you're farther ahead than most people. Even if you don't like it, you don't hate it, whatever the case may be, right? Right? You can go a long way at that, and you never lose what I feel your professional edge. The moment you don't care, like you truly don't care, and you check out, that's when problems happen, because now you're sabotaging yourself at maybe a place you don't like, but now you're also sabotaging yourself at home. You're sabotaging your relationship. You're sabotaging everything else. You have to maintain a certain work ethic. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to worry about the result. And this is what I've learned. It's like, I'm not here to worry about the big result. I'm here to do my part in the machine. Wherever you want to plug me, I'll do it. I don't care. And when it's over, I'll move on to the next task, or I will go home, depending on what time it is. And that's it. And I don't worry about what I can't control. And that's how it is. And I don't go above and beyond. But I don't.
You're not gonna half us it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that should be like the standard attitude. I'm all for like caring and going and doing the extra mile. The problem is that if you get your people, your peers, or your bosses used to you doing that constantly, the second you lose interest and you're just gonna do the job itself without going the extra mile, they're gonna see it as another performance or something. Like I had that happen to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's the thing. That's why I go in with this attitude, because I realize if I can overachieve anytime I want, but I don't need to overachieve, and they're not paying me to overachieve. Now, if you want me to overachieve, pay me for it.
Yeah, Lily, that's exactly. You're at best you're gonna get a pat on the back and something great on your performance review. But at the end of the day, like not everyone can be overachieving in the company, so there's a limited number of slots there, and it's not gonna be you this time around. But good job, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for giving me that Ferrari I always wanted. It's like,
yeah. I actually had that happen to me.
Really?
Yeah, that guy. I'm not gonna name the company or.
No. Don't. You don't want to get any.
Yeah. But it's a funny story to tell. So I was working on a huge, like a multi-million-dollar project, and I was literally a cog in the machine. But they brought me on the project because I did something for the other project that they never expected, and it actually ended up working really well. So they called me over and they showed me this complicated problem they were tackling on by using several different websites in order to track some codes and give people promotion in some games. And it was literally like trying to make the most complicated machine ever in order to turn the page on a paper, something like that. Like extremely hugely complex. I just walk in, like I knew I wouldn't spend time on the project or anything. I was like, okay, look, I can try and explain it to you guys, and we're probably going to go back and forth a ton on this. It's going to waste weeks, or I can just go back to the computer, try something in Unity really fast, be back to you guys like an hour and a half after your lunch break. If that's exactly what you want, perfect, take it and work on it. They agree with it. They went on lunch break. I did actually do the prototype really fast. I came back, I showed it to them. Like you were using your phone to scan a QR code, and it automatically would match you to the game you were supposed to receive the rewards in. And that's it. They implemented the system. It worked out really well, and they took us all for a lunch when the VP came and everything.
Okay.
At the end of the lunch, they went like, dude, your solution was freaking amazing. Like, I cannot wait to go to the US for like 4 weeks paid by the company. Like, thank you, you're a genius. And I was just sitting there like, oh man, and I paid for my drinks tonight. Screw it. I was like, oh, glad you're doing great. Thank you.
It's like, thank you. Fuck you, but thank you. Yes. But, I mean, it's amazing. Like going back, like, that's the thing about having independent people. Like, we don't look at things the same way. And that's the advantage to us. The disadvantage to us is we don't have the resources these big companies have.
We also don't have to go for the CYA policy. Do you know that one?
Cover your ass?
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
This is the part of the reason I became an entrepreneur, and right now, like I'm not working anywhere. I'm just working for myself, and I really hope I'm going to keep on doing this for like a long time from now. Is that if I fail, it's all due to me, and I can like literally take split-second risk, like change my mind instantly, and there's nobody who's going to like keep me accounted for, and I don't have to give any more explanations or waste time with why I took that decision. And that gives me a ton of freedom to actually try and innovate or change something.
Well, yeah, it's so much nicer that when you're just doing it on your own and you just recognize the fact that, you know what, it's on me, and I like that. I don't need to worry about somebody else coming around to screw it up. Something we were talking about last time. It's like when you work with someone that doesn't necessarily have a top floor or a house or a wall, or you're missing something, you just like, oh god, this is what I gotta do. Okay, fine, I'll figure this out. Fuck. But when it's just you, you're like, you know what? If I screw up, I can live with it. I mean, I may not be to like it, but I can talk to myself and I can pep myself back up. After I kick my own ass. It's all good. I can live with that. It's when, like for me personally, my big personal pet peeve is when someone creates unnecessary work and wastes my time. I hate that. If I do that, it's on me. I fucked up. I can live with that, right? I'm good enough to. I'm good enough to acknowledge to myself that I'm not perfect and I don't have all the answers. But on the same token, I can live with the fact that I can make my own. I give myself the permission to make my own mistakes. I don't have to cover my own ass because really I get to see it all there all the time, and that's fine. I'm good with that. Whereas if I'm working for a company or I'm working with somebody. Now, if it's somebody that's very, very, like, has the same goals, same features, especially a collaboration, that's one thing. I love that. But when it's just like a company to me going, well, this is my task, do it. I'm like, well, okay, but then please don't send anybody else. Just don't. I'd rather fail on my own.
Yeah, it's like I think we talked about this yesterday when we had the first attempt to record it. In my case, like I know 100% sure what I can or cannot do. And I know how to estimate how much time it's going to take me. You bring in another person, and I haven't worked with that person for a while, so I know what the expectations are. Chances are it's going to take 2 or 3 times longer for me to do the task because I don't know what the other person's going to do, and there's a chance like they might screw it up because I know I won't. Because I know I can do the task.
Yep, and I mean that's the other thing too. We have the audacity to go on our own. And because we have that confidence that we'll do it and we'll do a good job. And that's the other thing. There's so many more rewards to that. There's bigger risk, but man, the rewards are so fulfilling when you're actually succeeding. You know, so.
It's also if you don't succeed. Like I think this is the key point. So can you imagine working on a 10 people team? And you're working on a project and the project fails and then everybody's like, oh, well, maybe it would have worked if Carol from that company didn't do it so bad. Or you would just like spend time looking for a scapegoat and it's going to take forever. You fail and you worked on yourself like, yep, I did it. And, well, there's nobody else to blame. So I can just move on. Like I learned from the experience. That's it. Next time I'm not going to do it this way. And just solve it is way easier.
You know, it's way easier, and like just going back to something else is you learn from it. Like you can actually learn from it. If you're with a group and that especially you don't have a history or trust with, which is very important. You don't trust the group you're with. There's no guarantee. Like sometimes you don't know why you failed. Like why did this not work? So there's no way to learn. You can't get better, and it's easier to create. It's easier to have resentment in those situations. Whereas if you are doing your thing, or like I say, if you work with people you trust and it fails, you guys can be honest with yourselves. You hold each other accountable, and that's great. But it's so rare to work with people like that on a regular basis. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So you like my 6 rules, eh?
Oh yeah. Like I told you, I actually printed it out. I got it in my shop. It's pretty amazing, and I'm pretty sure it actually works as a great story at a pub.
Yes.
Conversation starter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we're gonna do to end the interview on. I'm gonna tell you the story about the 6th rule: no excuses. I figured something out about every human being on the planet, what we all have in common. You ready?
Yeah.
We all do exactly what we want to do at every time.
Okay.
Given the alternative, given the opportunity, we all do exactly what we want to do. Always. Doesn't matter what the situation is. We might have limitations, but there are always consequences, and we all have priorities. But if you look at the majority of that stuff, you look at the majority of it, we have complete control over how we react to things. We do exactly what we want to do every time. Well, if that's the case, if that's the case, our wants drive us, right? So, any way you choose to do it, maybe we do something because we really want to do it. Maybe we do something because we're afraid to do something, right? But either way, we're doing exactly what we want. So there's no excuses.
Well, that's a perspective, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
It's not wrong. To be fair, there's nothing there stopping you from saying something that you want to say outside of something like mind control.
Exactly. Well, absolutely. But I when I realized that, it's like, well, so if I succeed, it's on me. If I fail, it's also on me. That's good. I can live with that. I amuse you.
It's usually when I think about having a podcast and like an interview with someone, or just this is more akin to a pub conversation. Like I told you yesterday, I'm going to bring some beers for the second attempt.
Yes.
It feels so chill. Like I'm actually sad at this point because we're not sitting at a table. Because this is really hands down like shooting the breeze with someone at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what the whole podcast is about, man.
Yeah, I know, and we're doing exactly what we want right now, right?
Exactly. Absolutely no. This is exactly what I do with everybody I interview. I get a sense of who you are. Like you love, like you enjoy being an entrepreneur, and you love building the games you build, and that's the biggest thing I've gotten from you in our conversations.
Yeah, you can say I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing.
Exactly.
And to be fair, like if there's a limitation in here, it's probably that it's working for me.
Yes.
Because when you are doing something, it never ends up working for you properly. You're not going to want to do it.
Yes.
So yeah, we just went full circle on this one.
Yes, we did. We did. So, what are you working on right now?
So at this point, this is like my main project is Space Mercs, and I'm trying to finish it. I've set myself up at this point with enough money and budget to be able to work on a title for 3 months, and the limitation that it's got to be the best title I worked on till now. It's like a culmination of all my experiences over the years in both the graphic design and game design and programming and sound effects. Remember I told you the story yesterday that how some of the first podcasts I tried making a few years back actually ended up being voices in another game of mine?
Yes. I remember that.
I'm still using Audacity today, and because I'm trying to make some background chatter for the game, because you're in a spaceship, you're in a cockpit, you got your wingman there, they're like $100 ships flying everywhere, they're bullets flying, and I'm thinking like, come on, in a situation like this, you'd have people going on a radio like, oh my god, they're on my ass,
Yeah, so you should do like back when my dad used to drive truck, right? So they used to do like breaker 19 for radio check, or like there'd be like these number codes. Right, like say like when cops, like there's space cops out there's the enemy, or like you could do like all kinds of like cool stuff, and then also you just hear like random chatter. It's like, holy crap, that is one beautiful ship, or holy crap, that's one beautiful blonde driving that trying in that cockpit. Like that'd be the kind of stuff to be going on, I think, in outer space.
Exactly. So at this point, you're in a battle, and I just couldn't think of stuff to record for the game. Outside of the like, oh, I'm hit, oh, there's so many, and stuff like this. So what I did is I went through like video footage from my phone from the pubs with my buds, or conversations that we had, or I don't know, messing around with things. And I would just find things that might have worked when you're somewhere in space and you hear your conversations with your wingman over there. And there's points like me sitting at the pub like, oh man, if we go for this project, I'm just gonna buy you guys dinner. And in the game, you can hear it with the proper static white noise in the background going like, if we make it for this, like I'm buying you guys dinner. Stuff like that. Oh,
that'd be cool. If you want, we can talk about this off the air a little bit. You can take snippets of my podcast if you'd like and put it in there.
We can actually do that. And add like a configure something on the dashboard.
Yeah, or like maybe like when like your ship gets damaged, it switches stations and just do a random conversation about something on the podcast. It's like what?
Yeah, it could actually work. Like if you're okay with that.
Oh, but we'll have to talk about how many minutes and stuff off the air, but I'd be totally down with that. That'd be hilarious.
Awesome. Like talking about Easter eggs, like that would be a great Easter egg.
Yeah, exactly. It's just out of the blue. It's like, hey, I'm at 60% damage. Holy shit! What is this conversation about? Why are they talking about hating their jobs? Right. See, that would be one of those like nice little touches you wouldn't expect from nowhere, right? It'd be like, bang! You have this moment like this, and one of my favorite things in Grand Theft Auto was they would have the radio station. You could change radio stations to rock music, punk music. They'd have so much content that way. You're never actually bored, right? And that I always love those little attentions to details in games. It's like when hey, there's these cool little like either games within games or these cool little, like as you say, Easter eggs that they're just there. It's like that's really cool. So
like can you imagine doing something like this at a AAA company, like just walking to the boss or the IP holder and be like, hey, so I was just on this podcast with this cool guy and I'm thinking of adding it to the game. You'd have to go through approval, you gotta set up a contract, you gotta get legal people involved to listen to the podcast, veto the segments, maybe do some retakes, sign a contract, and months are gonna pass by before you get any free 4 seconds from the podcast in.
Yes, whereas now I can tell you, it's like, well, how many minutes do you need, and let's just do it. Fuck it, whatever, and just figure out a way to plug the podcast in the same point, and yeah, that'd be it.
I actually have a great idea how we can do this.
Okay.
So there's a part in the game where you're just modifying your ship's loadout. The game's simple in itself. You know, you get the main menu, you get the campaign, you get a quick battle. You get the campaign, you're taken to a hangar.
Yeah. And
there's stuff happening there. Like there are sparks flying from your ship, there are weapons being loaded up, and I got this computer screens everywhere. And your main campaign screen is on one of the computers, and I can have like a separate computer somewhere over there that's just says podcast or a radio station.
Yeah.
And from it, you can actually hear, like I said, this podcast going on and happening.
Exactly. That'd be really cool. And then what we could, and then it's just like I said, figure out how many minutes you actually need, and we'll make it work.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Ladies and
let's take the risk.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Ladies and gentlemen, we just negotiated a business deal on a podcast.
The ability of being an entrepreneur yourself and being able to take your own split-second decisions. This is what we were talking about.
Exactly. Well, I just thought it's a win-win for me. I mean, I get to say that I'm in a video game, which is just like damn freaking cool. You get to say...
Yeah, you got a big Twitter bio from award-winning podcast, Order of the Watcher books and stuff like that. I'm also in a video game.
Yeah, exactly. He's actually in a video game now. So it's like, done. Works for me, right? So
perfect. Happening.
Just like that. Click. So, Space Mercs, is it available now?
No, it isn't. Like I said, I have 3 months to work on it, and this is the last month. I got released at the end of July before my budget actually goes extremely dry.
Fair enough.
So it's a cool project, to be honest. Like, I'm a bit scared when it's going to be released, not because of the release or anything. It's just that I tried to make it a bit more focused on the player skills. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, most games, like, they're trying to pamper to the player. They're like, you're a badass, you're amazing. That wolf can't take you down, you're level 18.
Yeah.
At my point, you're like, yo, it's going to be like 400 ships on screen. They're all going to be firing at you. And if you're good enough, you're not going to get hit.
But if you're not, your tears are my joy.
Oh, yeah, clear. Well, there's a bunch of masochists out there, like, but at least 400 that buy my game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, like I said, one of my favorite companies for video games is Atlas, and their motto is your tears are our fuel. You know, it's like, okay. And sometimes they do make me cry sometimes. So it's I guess that works for them.
In my case, like, Did you ever read on Twitter why I started making this game?
No, actually, I've been reading your tweets. I've been reading all your testing, like all your little tests and what you come up with and all that stuff. That's what's been showing up on my feeds. So why'd you make the game?
So a couple of months ago, I lost my biggest client, and when I say I lost, like I actually fired them.
Okay.
And, with enough budget to work on a game for like 3 months, and well, through this time, I just kept putting off buying a new computer. So I'm stuck on an old laptop from 2012 that's not really that performant. And I'm a huge space nerd. Like I love games like Elite Dangerous. I love
Gradius?
And none of them work on my computer.
Oh.
And the ones that do work, well, they're good. But I wanted a game where I could actually be the proper pilot in there. You know, no hand holding. Like it's up to me if I succeed or I fail. So I said, I'm like, you know what? There are no space games that I can play. And those that are, I just cannot get that feeling for them. So I'm going to work on a space game. You're going to be able to fly like millimeters away or inches away from a projectile and not get hit. And you can just go up into the face of the battleship and be like, yo, I'm smaller than you, I'm less powerful than you, but I got all the time in the world to take you down.
Nice. That could be a lot of fun. That could be a lot of fun. You're basically trying to reward people for being creative and ingenuitive, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the types of games that I'm making. Like I know I cannot afford to make like a multi-hour super experience that's extremely well crafted and with a huge backstory. So I'm trying to make games that work in, like I call them coffee break games. You can just sit up in your computer, you got 10 minutes that are free, just pop in a level or pop in a mission or just go into a quick battle. Get your 5-10 minutes of fun experience from there. You might win, you might lose, you just don't care. It's just the experience that gets you to, I don't know, that perspirate.
Yes.
You just get to sweat a ton from it and go like, wow, okay, that was crazy. Gotta get back to work now.
So are you going to be the douchebag that actually has an easy mode you unlock after a character dies so many times?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, literally, no. Like, you know what? Because in the game at this point, like I'm thinking maybe there's gonna be, because again there are hundreds of ships on screen, and this is something that, because have you ever seen Battlestar Galactica?
Yes.
Remember the battles in there? There were like 20 ships, and you kill those guys, and 20 ships drop in. Like, no, there's a huge ton of things capital ships. There's everything in there. So I got an experience that's more akin to that one. And chances are, at least halfway through the game, at the latest, you're gonna start losing. But on the bright side, you're gonna get some points, like credit in game, even though you fail a mission. That you can keep failing the mission and still grind it and get the points so you can buy better loadouts for your ship.
So
it's not
eventually,
going to be an easy mode in there. You're either going to get good, or you're going to be able to spend the credits you earn in game to actually get a better ship.
so this will be free to play then. I'm assuming.
No, it's not free to play. It's just you can say like a free to play model, but you just pay once for it and that's it. It's yours.
Oh, okay,
forever.
no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really, really fun. So, do you have an official release date yet? Like a date in mind?
Yeah, I'm aiming for the end of July 31. Yeah.
July 31st? Okay. I asked this because I can control when this podcast actually airs and stuff like that. So, you know.
It's fine if you like release it way earlier, because
I was planning. I can release this like 2 weeks earlier, and I can build you up, dude. It's all good. It's all good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Fine. It's like at this point, like if people like the concept, they're probably gonna search for the game. If they search it before it's released and they add it to their wish list, it's actually gonna help me more just buying it on release.
All right, so I will encourage people to do that. I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully.
What happened? We were at a bar drinking beer, just shooting the breeze, and now we turned all professional interview. I mean, you actually got your clipboard out and your phone to record it.
Yeah, no, I don't even use clip like I said. This is how I do it even when I'm in a bar. Right, I'll just take my phone out. I'll record. I'll just talk. I mean, so last story I'll tell before we wrap this interview up is I interviewed an author. He was so entertaining that all the questions I brought in, just there's no point. He was way more entertaining than anything I could have asked him, and I recognized that, and I just let him go. And then I realized after I had that conversation with him, I could do this with everybody. Why don't I do this with everybody? And I have since. I think I've asked you 3 questions this whole interview.
Yeah, one of them was like, say something funny with a question mark at the end. Can you do it?
Yes. That's mostly just that one. Yeah, that was just a test. It doesn't even actually come into the actual interview. That was just like, hey, let's just go in there. So I mean, these are the kind of things I think people really really like, because it's not. It feels real.
There's no pressure.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on it. It's fine. Like, hey, keep going the way you want to go. You're gonna say something that's cool. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
But then it's way less formal. Can you imagine actually me being the one interviewing you and being like, so, how many words are in your book? 30,000? Cool. What's the title? Okay. On which page does the character get his first kiss? And it's something so structured, you just cannot do anything with it.
Doesn't feel real. I mean that's useful in, like, let's say I only have 5 minutes. Okay, if I only have 5 minutes, we only have 5 minutes. That kind of interview is great because you can do like a quick little intro. You can get to the beats that really really matter. It's quick, and there are uses for that. But my podcasts tend to go with half hour to an hour. If I did questions and answers for a half hour to an hour, I would be bored, and I'd be the one asking. I can only imagine what a listener would feel like.
Yeah. You know, usually when I listen to a podcast and the interviewer, the host asks something, and the answer seems interesting, and you want to learn more about it, and then the host switches to something else.
Well, yeah, it's just they lack ad-lib skills.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's basically what it is, and you can tell real quick, like, if there's a story there, right? The smart thing is, like I said, just let the person tell that story, because that's interesting, right? All right. Let's say there's a story about like, you know, about attack of a killer pea soup. Okay, now I want to know what the heck this killer pea soup did and why was it a killer. But if I then go, let's go talk about, like, you know, something else, something completely random, like plug your something. It's like, well, what about the story there? I wanted to hear that story. And a lot of people don't know how to go into depth about that stuff. And you can, I almost kind of want to do, like, when I do my podcast presentation at When Words Collide in August, I almost want to do, like, the biggest don'ts in podcasting, what not to do in a podcast, is, like one thing is to practice your ad-libbing skills. Because, honestly, that's one of the best skills you can have on a podcast, or in life in general, actually. So you can actually just go with the flow. And that's all I try to do.
I used to hold some talks back in the day at the same university where I talked about success and failure. And one of the things were like, hey guys, you're trying to pitch your games to big publishers, and yet you do not know how to speak to those guys. Like, you gotta practice your ad-lib skills. And at one point the guy asked me, like, how do I do that? Well, first thing first, like, be honest with the publisher. And it's like, hey, how do I do that? Fake sincerity. How do I do that? Like, pretend you're interested in what he's saying. Like, how do I do that? Ask him questions, and then when he answers, like, keep asking him questions on what he said.
Oh my gosh, that student sounds life skills.
The guy actually learned from it. Like, he actually got exactly where I was going with. Or else being like, hi, it's a pleasure to meet you. Yeah, likewise. Yeah, likewise. So tell me about yourself. Like, I work for the publishing company. What company? Like, dude, you're pitching to us.
Well, you are pitching to us now. Then it's like, until then. Now I'm not so sure. Are you real? No, I mean that's it, right? I mean the art of speaking like that is almost a lost art now, but it works to my advantage because I do something that is not as common anymore. Sad but true. But anyway, good luck putting your game, my friend. I hope it goes incredibly well for you. It sounds like you put a lot of effort into it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope it goes. In life, I don't want the best thing. I want the second thing after that, which is good enough.
Fair enough. So, why don't you plug where your game is going to be available, And we've talked about when, the name of the game is Space Mercs, and how people can find you.
Okay, so the game's going to be firstly available on Steam. If you just go to Steam or Google and search for Space Mercs, that's space, and then Mercs. It's going to be the first link in there. It's going to have a kick-ass spaceship that looks white. There's going to be a trailer with hundreds and thousands of bullets on screen. It's going to come out at the end of July 31st. And you're going to probably be able to get it for $10 or less, depending on how much of a discount I'm going for during the launch. If you're on Windows or Linux, you can get the game. If you're on Mac, it's going to take a little while before I do the port to Mac. You can also get it from my own website, which is called beardedgiant.games, and I would appreciate it if you get it from there, because I get to keep 99% of the money. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you forget about the game's podcast airs and the game launches and you find about it in the press, please tell me about it, because that means I actually succeeded, and I promise I will answer your emails, because even though I'm going to be a billionaire, I'm going to have a mansion built out of yachts.
Okay. That sounds fantastic. So how can people contact you?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is using my Twitter account, which I'm sure will be somewhere linked in the podcast, because it's extremely hard to spell.
Fair enough.
Or you can just contact me by shooting me an email at contact@beardedgiant.games.
All right. And that's how you get yourself into a video game, ladies and gentlemen. I had a real blast with this conversation. Check him out check Zapa out at beardedgiant.games. There's some great games there you should definitely check out. If you're a Steam fan, definitely give yourself a pre-purchases or enter my giveaways, as I do give away some tags so you can actually get some of the games there. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Just Joshing. For those who want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast first and foremost. I am on Podomatic, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes. Subscribe, review, share, let people know I'm out there. It's always a pleasure. Number 2, support my sponsors. Jennifer Ron is an amazingly gifted author. I'm giving away Wicked Initiations this week, as well as I will have another winner tomorrow, as I'm sending my first book out tomorrow to my first winner last week. So this has definitely been a cool experience to do all these giveaways, and Jennifer is an awesome individual. You should definitely support her. My books, The Watchstone Dancer Wandering God, courtesy of MirrorWorldPublishing.com. You should definitely check out my YouTube channel, Joshua Pentelresco. Subscribe, share, let people know I'm out there. There's always episodes going up there all the time. Outside of that, thank you for listening. Stay inspired out there. Keep kicking butt. I'll be back next week when I get another returning favorite. Yeah, I guarantee you'll love it. All right, guys. Take care until then.
Josh.